Hello, viewers. Welcome to once again an edition of Literary Voices. I'm your host, Nanaya Yabua. Today's programming, we are here in Toronto and we have linked up with a young lady, an educationist, all the way in Zambia. She is making waves, transforming the lives of young women. She is, most of all, an activist. Her works are beginning to come out into the light, and that is how I chanced upon her. Her name is Mutinta, and I'm going to bring her on the show right now, and she can tell us more about who she is, where she started her activism and education from, and where she wants or hopes to take it to in the near future. Mutinta.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, welcome to Literary Voices. Now,
Thank you
on
very much.
Literary Voices, it's about storytelling. So, you are going to share with us the narrative of your experience as an educationist in Zambia. Am I right?
Sure,
So, it's
correct.
2 p.m. in Toronto and it's what time is
8
it
p.m.
for
in
you?
Zambia.
8 p.m.
8 p.m. in Zambia. Yes.
8 p.m. in Zambia. Okay. Thank you so much. There's this huge time difference, 6 hours that we're working with for agreeing to do this interview with us. So, could you briefly give us your background? Who is Mutinta? Who are you?
Okay. Basically, Mutinta. Who is Mutinta? Mutinta is a young lady from Zambia. Actually, my full names are Mutinta Masowe. I am actually from a central province of Zambia, which is called Kabwe,
Kawe.
where I
Okay.
Kabwe, yes. So it means rock,
Rock.
actually.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
So that's where you find the rock of authority of Zambia in Kabwe.
Kawe. Okay. All right.
Yes, please. So
Mm-hmm.
I am, and I can call myself, I'm an activist, but I love calling myself as an advocate because my
Okay.
work is broader. It's broader. Then I graduated from Kwame Nkrumah University
Now,
in
I
Kabwe, of course.
wanted to ask you a question about that because you
Okay.
knowing me, I come from Ghana, right?
Yeah,
I'm Ghanaian, and Kwame Nkrumah was our first president or prime minister in
exactly.
Ghana, and there's a university in Zambia called Kwame Nkrumah University. How long has that university been there?
Actually, for quite a long time before I was even born, because he is one of the men that is celebrated here in Zambia, and his Kwame Nkrumah University is the first educational institution in Zambia.
Oh, thank
So
you.
yes, it that offers just pure educational system in Zambia. We have,
Okay.
of course, the University of Zambia that has the School of Education, but
Yeah.
then Kwame Nkrumah University offers pure education, and it's the first school to, or rather institution to be
That
established in
focuses on
Zambia.
education. Okay,
Exactly. And actually, we have the statue of Kwame Nkrumah there.
beautiful. Maybe one day you'll join me in Ghana.
Hopefully.
So, why did you decide to go into education?
Firstly, my family is a family of teachers. My dad is a teacher, and
Hmm.
then my elder brother is a teacher, and my sister as well is a teacher.
Hmm.
Then, looking at the inspiration from dad,
Yes.
first of all, I didn't want to become a teacher at first because I always wanted to carry out this narrative that is going around to say, okay, when you are a teacher, it's like it's looked down upon. The teaching
Mhm.
fraternity is looked down upon. But
Mhm.
then looking at the inspiration that I got from my parents, like my dad to be
Mhm.
specific, he is a great man that I always look up to. So from
Mhm.
there on, I applied, and just then I was picked. And then I
Okay.
always was told by my family to say, "Oh, I think because you talk too much, you can be able to manage to be a teacher, I think, and stand in front of people." Yes. So that's how come
Beautiful.
I found myself
Mhm.
in the teaching fraternity, and without regret, I love it.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I do believe as women, whether you go to an educational institution or not, we tend to be, let me put it in a continental African context, because when it comes to the western part of womanhood, there are so many definitions and whatnot. So let's do it a continental African context of womanhood. When you have a child, you are the first person the child sees and communicates with. Yes, so you start teaching that child.
Mhm.
I recently did a video that focuses on the world as a classroom. So as you speaking, I began to think you are by nature a teacher, even probably before you became aware of it or went to school for it. Now, so let's get into your role as an educationist. What are some of the things you are doing on ground as an advocate and as an educationist?
Okay. Right now, as we are talking, I'm away
Yes.
from home. I came for a meeting at a place in this capital city of Zambia, which is Lusaka. The capital
Okay.
city, which is Lusaka, we had a training on
Mhm.
women, like in terms of like women empowerment.
Okay.
So in this case, when you look at the how I marry my advocacy and how I relate it with education,
Mhm.
these are quite like I believe in a term that was used by Nelson Mandela to say education is the powerful tool to change the world. So in
Mhm.
every advocacy that I do,
Mhm.
whatever sector it can be, we can talk about sexual reproductive health, we can talk about
Mhm.
leadership, I always want to marry it with education because, like,
Mhm.
education is a driving force for me. I have
Mhm.
very much big respect for educators because you can be anything when you are a teacher. So it's
Mhm.
actually easier for me to stand in front of the people out there, whether community or the in school people, to
Mhm.
talk to them about issues that matter to us women. And then
Mhm.
it is easier for me to roll out information because I've already been nurtured
Mhm.
by the educational sector.
Mhm.
So looking at this, what I'm doing in advocacy,
Mhm.
it's really, I'm not, I can call myself as an educational champion because everything that I do is stems from education. And the response has been so overwhelming looking at me being a teacher and being an advocate. But then there has been a lot of challenges, of course, that has to come with it. Like for me to balance
Okay,
up,
now
I
I'm
have to,
interested in
yeah,
hearing some of the challenges that you encountered in in the course of
in
your
the,
work. Yes.
okay. Um, Firstly, in terms of like the place I mentioned, like Central Province where I come from,
Yes. The
it's,
place of the rock.
yes, it's like the Central Province is a place where a lot of people don't really want to live in, and they would want to go there because they've been taken there, maybe
Mhm.
by just a transfer or not. And then a lot of people would want to run to the capital city because that's where you find opportunities. Everyone
Okay.
wants to settle here. So the challenge is if you want, like for me to access and to start my activism and to get the training where I am here at the platform for Action Aid Zambia, which is the global platform, I had to move from Central Province coming here. So looking
So,
at the
come
Central
again. So the
Province,
Central Province name, give us the name again.
Kabwe,
Kabwe. So you had to move from
yes,
Kabwe to Lusaka
yes.
for the education or for
Yes,
the
for just
training.
the training in advocacy, but then the education itself,
Yes.
we can say Kawe has been blessed with institutions like educational institutions. We have a lot of, we can say, prestigious universities down there. But then
Mhm.
young people, when they see that there aren't any opportunities after school, they will decide to migrate and come through to the capital city, of
To the
course, to look
city.
for
Yes.
opportunities. Yes.
I
So
do
that's
believe around it's a common thread and a common story around with migration from the villages to or the countryside to the cities in the hopes of better world. Let me ask you this question. So in your experience as a Zambian, where do women find themselves in society?
looking at the patriarchal system that we have.
Hmm.
We can say a lot of women have begun to see that it's always okay to get enlightened by the things, or rather taking up space. But then we have we still have a lot to do.
Hmm.
And women, of course, like me, I can give my example of I always want to be the president, the female first president. But then the patriarchal system itself, it's like it doesn't make it more easy. But it doesn't mean that just because there's a system itself, it's which is male dominant, and then I cannot be that. I can definitely push through if I want to be whoever I want to be. But a
Let,
lot
let
of women
me
right now, okay,
let
sorry.
me ask you one question. If you're aware of the Zambian history, has Zambia always been a patriarchal society, or it's been influenced by colonialism to make it what it is right now? I just want an understanding of the traditions, pre-colonial traditions.
Like, oh yes, it has always been like that, even pre-colonial,
Okay.
because when there is a saying that of course, our ancestors used to say that women are meant to be in the kitchen. That's what they used to say way back, which is some people think it is okay to even say it even at this era, which is not true. So
Mhm.
that's what we are trying to advocate for, to say that system should be long gone, because this time around, this is the renaissance, for goodness sake. It's time for the rebirth of knowledge. It's time for people, because we have a lot of matriarchs out there. So for us, we cannot say that it has just started now. It has always been there from way back, and then it has always been passed on to generation.
Mhm.
Then we find ourselves conditioned to that, which our
Mhm.
ancestors and our forefathers were doing and passed on to their children up to now, which is so sad. So for me, I looked at it whenever I want to advocate to people, I look at it to say the only thing that you can enlighten an individual, like a human being, like a woman, is by first
Mhm.
of all working on their mindset. Because
Mhm.
if they are conditioned, you can attest with me, Nana, it is very difficult to change somebody's mindset. Of course, when they are even like grown,
Mhm.
mostly looking at it says it's a Christian nation, so you are supposed to behave in a certain way and all those things. Meaning, for me, I look at it to be saying,
Mhm.
like, no, it doesn't need to be like that. So it has
Mhm.
always been there. It has always been there.
Okay. The reason I asked that question is because I know different parts of the continent have different systems. For instance, I come from a group that is more matriarchal than patriarchal.
Okay.
And there are other groups that are patriarchal than, yes. And being a president in the future is possible. Africa is one of the places whereby, although it's called the developing world, we've had more female presidents than the Western part of the so-called enlightened world. So just recently, Tanzania has a female president. So more grease to your elbows. We're all here to cheer you up to become the next president of,
I hope that happens.
and
Yeah.
then you'll have a bigger interview
Yes.
with Her Excellency.
Mhm.
Okay. N- Now, I within the context of what you do and violence against women, it is a big issue around not only on the continent of Africa but around the world. Violence against women. What sparked your awareness to it, and how are you working in your role as an activist to help change that narrative?
Okay. When I completed my education, that was 2016. I
Mhm,
was because there's that part with the aftermath of exams. When you go home,
mhm,
you feel as if maybe you are in a sector where it's boring and you want to continue doing something. So I was on the internet trying to look for job ads, and then I
mhm,
came across a certain ad. Then it was saying job opportunity. When I
mhm,
called that number, then I realized to say the person that picked up that number was actually male, and
mhm.
he was so rude. So
Yes.
when he asked me to, it was really, really bad when he asked me a question to say, um, we don't, where did you get my number from? I was like, but this is a private number. I found it online and then I
Yes.
called it. Then
Mhm.
where is the question coming from? Then he said, we don't have jobs here, whatever. So he went off and he was so rude. I
Yes.
accepted it that maybe I had made a mistake and all that. But
Mhm.
after some time, it was barely even 2 seconds. He called back.
Yes.
You can be surprised the question that he asked me. He asked me if I was single or I was married. When I said I wasn't married, I was single. And then he said, you can pack your bags right now and come through your job. The job is yours. Then I looked at myself to say, is this how it is? And I was just a little girl by then coming from university. From that time, I was like, no, sorry, I won't be able to get the job. You can keep your job and I'll find something else. That really sparked my anger to say there are a lot of women who are able to say no to such. And yet, these same people, perpetrators like this, are able to use women in the name of giving them jobs. From there,
Mhm.
I said, and I swore to myself to say, I will be able to speak for women.
But
But then when I
did
talked to
he
my
even
dad,
describe what job it was? Did you know the nature of work you were going to do?
it was actually saying something like sales, marketing, something like that. So
So
I
what
was like,
if it wasn't really sales marketing? The reason why I ask is the recent or the underground work trade of young women and girls within prostitution, the sex, yes. So that, because as soon as you said it, alarm bells started ringing in my head. How do you get people very easily, very quickly, desperate young women looking for a job? And this sounds like one of those things that it's like the job is there. Hey, I've got a job, and they can quickly run to it. And the family may never see them again.
just in line with the COVID-19,
Hmm.
we have had a lot of issues that have been happening. So,
Okay.
like even the economy wise, has gone
Yes,
down. So
that's
people,
right.
you find that their pockets have even like maybe become dry, like they don't have money. They've become desperate to look for jobs, and the women have become more vulnerable to it. We can be
So,
here speaking about this, and then very few women will take the information after we have spoken about it. They will
mhm,
take information, but when something happens, they will be able to not really understand that this is actually 419. This is
yeah,
actually something that is happening. And it kills me whereby my African sisters are actually falling prey to
yeah,
that. That they go to places like Dubai to go
yeah,
and be used as prostitutes there, to go and be in a lot of just jobs that are not really okay. It's really bad that women have become, instead of them getting a job as a sales marketer, they will be
mhm.
selling themselves instead, which is really bad. So no wonder we need
I
to speak
think
about it.
sometimes it's not by choice. It is whatever underground marketing system that is going on that inhibits them from getting back home, because it's sort of like a cartel that works, that when you get into it, to get out, it's almost impossible, and they end up in places and in certain spaces that they don't want to, but they are at a loss as how to get back home. So you've touched on a
Mhm.
very, key, big issue that I hope in the future you will, work more on that angle to help curtail some of these issues as an advocate and also as an educationist, educating these young men, young women, and even sometimes young men are also, lured into it. I think lure is the right word to use. Yeah. I think one of the things that I was trying to elucidate from you was what kind of chances are you creating, or are you able to create, if not now, in the near future, for young girls and women in Zambia?
Okay. Firstly, as an educator, the first primary level of we can say we can give for information is in school. I talked about that I'm a champion of education. I always try to use in school we don't just teach the curriculum itself, but there's what we call the Latin functions that pupils get to learn. So I use it as an example to say that every teacher out there, I speak to pupils out there who are still in school. For instance, those that are about to complete school. I go in schools to speak about it and to tell them about how life is after school. And
Mhm.
then it's like it's a girls' talk, but then I don't seclude the boys because
Mhm.
even being a gender advocate,
Yeah,
even boys fall prey to a lot of issues as well.
yeah.
So we try to put in inclusion as well for both men and women, so
Mhm.
that because even men have sisters out there. Then
That's
that's
right.
one of the projects that I'm doing. And other than that, media is one of the fourth estates. I
Mhm.
try to use media a lot by going to radio stations because I
Mhm.
know, like both in local languages and English, of course, as the official language, to speak
Mhm.
out so that young people are able to listen and parents are able to listen so that they get aware of what is happening out there. Not going outside, but it starts from my own home. I have two sisters who just completed school and they're so excited about getting a scholarship, doing what, but I tell them to say you need to be careful with whatever so-called scholarships that you see that are being
Mhm.
advertised, because
Mhm.
today you see an ad, then at the end of the day they would say we're fully funded, and then you go out there you find it's not a job. So I
Yeah.
not just speak out to people out there, but it should start with my family as well. Those
So
are the
creating
avenues that I
more
speak.
awareness.
exactly. And also on platforms, because I believe it's not only my fellow Zambians that need this information. We have a lot of African sisters out there that need this
Mhm.
information. This is where we need such platforms like social media. We need such platforms like Zoom, of course, which also even like TV stations. The people in the diaspora, they need to be talking about this. So once they see such things, like for instance, this interview, they will be able to say, there was a time when we had a theme in the Youth Day to say, I take a lead. What are they doing about it by living in the diaspora? It's like you need to start something to sensitize what happens there, because people down here think as if once you go in the diaspora, it's about enjoyment and nothing else. But then you have to work twice harder for you to make sure that you prove that you've gone somewhere. It's away from home. So it's really like the job is big, but I believe in one thing I was purposed to do is, even when I don't finish now, somebody
Mhm.
will carry it from there. But my most important part is starting something. And then someone somehow will carry it from me afterwards. Because we say, leave no one behind. It's a collective thing.
Mhm.
We I cannot do it alone, but we
Mhm.
can do it as a collective. But
That's
then if
right.
other people don't get enlightened, I should start it first, and one man can change the world, of course. Like the African thing, that is it the saying that says that it takes only one matchstick to burn the whole bush. I so
That's
much
right.
believe in my African culture because it has a rich content which will
Mhm.
teach you to realize to say you are destined for greatest in whatever you do. And you can say success is not really attained by you enjoying it alone, but then you attain success by rising other people as well. Once a lot of people are risen up by what you're doing, then that's when you feel the greatness of success.
Wow. You got into it there. I'm so appreciative. I'm so appreciative. So just to sum it up is working in purpose, reaching out to the people both in the diaspora and at home with knowledge, wisdom, information, and bringing us all on board to carry forth the message um, to those that need it. And that is why I said you are the new Africa. You
Exactly.
guys are a generation that is very motivating and do not back down. And you have taken education not only in the classroom, but to the wider sense of the word, which is lifelong learning, learning from the world as your classroom. Beautiful, beautiful. Um, Before we come to the end of this programming, I want to ask you, so with this journey that you go in, how did your parents or how do they take to it when you decided to, did you decide to tell them this is where you want to go, or you fell into it and you told them this is what I'm doing? What was the reaction?
Um, in the first place, I didn't tell them when I started the whole thing. I just decided to say, I actually lied this first time I came here in Lusaka too. I said I've gotten a job because I knew, as in my dad wasn't not going to be like supportive of
Mm-hmm.
me moving to a place, because he's not really like going to be, he's so protective of everything I do. So what I did was I lied to him, but mom knew exactly what I was going to do, because and then when I came here, the thing they saw me was I was on TV saying this and that, and they were so surprised to say, but
Yeah.
how come? Then from that time around, they've always supported me in everything I do. Even when I don't have airtime for me to connect to the internet, I will just tell them to say, okay, can you give me this, and that I want to connect? And they are so supportive. Not only just my parents, but then my siblings as well. They are so supportive over it. They will be
Mhm.
there supporting me on social media. You know what social media can do? There will be
Mhm.
people that will bring you down. There will be people that will, not because you're doing something wrong, but because they are angry of something that you don't know. So
Mhm.
they will be there to have my back if anytime I
Mhm.
get social media backlash at any point. So my family is just one of the greatest people that I can
So,
say they've always supported
so
me.
let's give a shout out to your father, your parents, and your siblings. So you give them a shout out.
Um, I know they'll watch this. I would just want to say thank you for them. I just want to give a shout out to say thank you for them for supporting me in everything that I do, which they know already. But then I have to say it in public to say thank you, because you don't really get such chances to make a shout out to them. So shout out to them, and I wish more parents could be like them.
Exactly. And I wish more parents can encourage and support their children making transformative decisions and impacting people around the continent and the world, like how you are doing. You're a beautiful young lady and you are very smart and well spoken. And I know you are going to go places. You've already gone places, but you're going to reach higher and higher and higher.
I
Is there
appreciate.
anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Okay, maybe
Sorry.
just a
So
point.
no. So after your point, then you let us know where would can people find you on social media?
Okay, maybe just a point.
Sure.
For us women, or rather the African women in the entire world, for
Mhm.
us to do well, I believe we can say that whatever that these perpetrators want to do to us, or
Mhm.
rather make us see fail to do something, they will
Mhm.
learn from us. So the only thing that we need to do as women, we should learn to support each other, because we find that a lot of women will be there pulling their fellow woman down once she wants to do something. So that has to stop. It's like it's a caution to say it should stop, because you never know to say today you are bringing your fellow woman down. Tomorrow
Mhm.
it's your child who wants to take up that dream. And how would you feel if you see kind of like see your child being like bullied
Hold
or
on.
being
Yeah.
put in that position? So
Mhm.
if we want to make sure that we have our own voices, I would love to ask every woman to take up all leadership spaces for them to influence the policies that best would matter to them. It can be health wise, it can be political wise, it can be any space that you feel is so important for you to make policies, or rather to be part and parcel of decision making. You need
Mhm.
to take up those spaces. It's our time. I've posted actually on my Facebook page, I've posted to say Africa is female. Africa is a woman. So I believe we are all mothers. We can be able to take care of our homelands, and we can be able to make sure that our children, including the men, our sons out there, are able to do good out there. And it's only us women who are there to nurture them and teach them. So let's never, if we've started, let's never retaliate. Let's never stop. And if we've
Mhm.
not started, this is the only time. That's the
Mhm.
only thing I would love to talk more, but then this is the only message that will support each other. And then from there, you will see the good Africa, you will see the good entire world that you would want to see. And where they can find me on Facebook, Mutinta Masowe on Facebook. Then also on Twitter, they can find me as Mutinta Masowe, of course. Then on Instagram, Masowe MUMU, they can find me there as well. Even on LinkedIn, I'm there as Mutinta Masowe.
You are
So they could
everywhere.
everywhere,
Mutinta
everywhere.
is everywhere.
Exactly.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, viewers, my name is Nana Yayabua, and this has been Literary Voices. You've been watching my interview with Mutinta Masewe from here in Toronto and she being in Zambia. We've listened to the young ladies work on education and transformation within the Zambian society, but also continentally as an African, that impact goes beyond. And for us diasporans, our support of her work is indeed very much needed. This has been Literary Voices. We will come back to you with other programming next time. Thank you.
That TV.